A little girl witnesses a chef refusing food to a hungry baby and makes a choice that changes everything. Racing through the streets with stolen bread and an infant in her arms, she reaches her CEO father with a plea he cannot ignore. What begins as a simple act of kindness unravels into a discovery that threatens to destroy a powerful man's carefully constructed life. The humble blonde woman with the baby holds secrets that connect to his past in ways he never imagined. Sometimes helping a stranger means confronting the truth you've been running from for years. Before we begin this story of justice and redemption, type "Hope You" in the comments and tell us which country you're watching from. 7-year-old Harper stood outside the tailoring shop, watching through the window as her father examined suits. Tyler Reed was particular about everything, especially his appearance. As CEO of Reed Industries, he believed presentation mattered almost as much as profit. Harper had learned to be patient during these shopping trips. She would wait quietly while he deliberated over fabrics and cuts. Then they would go for ice cream. That was their Saturday routine, but today something caught her attention. Across the street, outside a small restaurant called Antonio's, a woman sat on the curb. She was young, maybe in her 20s, with long blonde hair that looked like it hadn't been brushed in days. Her clothes were simple and worn, faded jeans and a thin sweater despite the cool Chicago autumn air. In her arms, she cradled a baby wrapped in a blanket that had seen better days. The woman was crying. Harper's heart squeezed. She had seen homeless people before. Chicago had plenty. But something about this woman was different. Maybe it was the way she held the baby so carefully, or the way she kept trying to wipe her tears away so they wouldn't fall on the infant's face. The restaurant door opened and a man in a chef's uniform stepped out. He was holding a small bag. Hope lit up the woman's face. Harper crossed the street without thinking, drawn by curiosity and something she couldn't quite name. She arrived just in time to hear the chef speak. "I told you already. We don't give handouts. You want food? You pay for it." The woman's voice was soft, desperate. "Please, I'm not asking for me, just something for the baby. Formula, bread soaked in milk, anything. She's so hungry." The chef's face hardened. "Not my problem. There are shelters for people like you." "The shelters are full. I've tried 3 already. Please, I can work. I can clean, I can wash dishes, anything. Just please, something for my daughter." Harper looked at the baby. The infant was maybe 6 months old with wispy blonde hair and big blue eyes. She wasn't crying, but she had that listless quality that Harper had seen in a documentary about hunger. Too tired and weak to even protest her discomfort. The chef shook his head. "I'm not running a charity. You want me to call the police? Because that's what's going to happen if you keep bothering my customers." He threw the bag on the ground near the woman's feet. Harper saw it contained trash, not food. The chef turned and went back inside. The woman stared at the bag, then at her baby, then buried her face in her hands and sobbed. Harper felt something hot and sharp in her chest. It wasn't fair. The baby hadn't done anything wrong. Why should she suffer because her mother didn't have money? Before she could think about it, Harper ran to the restaurant's back alley. She had watched the chef throw the bag there, which meant there was a back door, maybe even an open window. She was small. She could fit. The window near the dumpster was cracked open for ventilation. Harper climbed onto a crate and squeezed through. She dropped into the kitchen storage room, her heart pounding. Shelves lined the walls, filled with ingredients and supplies. Harper grabbed what she could reach: a loaf of bread, a jar of what looked like baby food, a bottle of milk from the refrigerator. She stuffed them into her jacket, making herself lumpy and awkward. Then she heard voices in the kitchen. The chef was coming back. Harper didn't think, she just moved. She ran back to the window, scrambled through and dropped to the pavement outside. Behind her, she heard the chef shout, "Hey, someone's stealing from the storage room." Harper ran back to the front of the restaurant. The woman was still on the curb, still crying. Harper thrust the food into her arms. "For the baby," she gasped. "Quick, before he comes." The woman stared at her in shock. "What did you... Just take it." The baby made a small sound, reaching for the milk bottle with tiny hands. The woman looked at her daughter, then at Harper, and something desperate and grateful crossed her face. Thank you, she whispered. Oh God, thank you. But there was no time for gratitude. The chef burst out of the restaurant, his face red with fury. You little brat, I'm calling the cops. Harper's mind raced. She looked at the baby, at the woman, at the chef bearing down on them. Then she scooped the baby right out of the woman's arms and ran. Wait, the woman screamed. That's my daughter. I know, Harper shouted back. I'm getting help. She ran toward the tailoring shop, the baby clutched against her chest. The infant was surprisingly heavy, and Harper's arms burned with the effort. Behind her, she heard the chef's footsteps and the woman crying out in panic. Harper burst into the tailoring shop. Her father was at the counter, finalizing a purchase. He turned at the sound of the door slamming open. Harper, what? Daddy! She was breathless, terrified, desperate. The chef is refusing to feed a baby. She was so hungry and he threw trash at them and called them names and I tried to get food but he's chasing me and… Tyler Reed stared at his daughter, who was holding an infant he'd never seen before, wearing a jacket stuffed with stolen food, being pursued by an angry chef in a white uniform. For a moment he simply processed the impossible scene. Then his CEO instincts kicked in. He strode past Harper and stepped outside just as the chef arrived, followed closely by the distraught blonde woman. That girl stole from my restaurant, the chef shouted, pointing at Harper, and she kidnapped that woman's baby. Tyler held up one hand. His voice was calm, commanding, the tone that silenced boardrooms. Explain, slowly. What happened? The chef sputtered. She broke into my kitchen and stole food. Then she grabbed this woman's kid and ran. I want her arrested. Tyler looked at the woman. She was young, clearly exhausted and staring at Harper with an expression torn between terror and hope. Is this your baby? Tyler asked her. The woman nodded, unable to speak. Was she in danger? No, the woman whispered. The little girl was trying to help. My daughter was hungry, and this man refused to sell me food even though I offered to work for it. Tyler turned his gaze to the chef. The temperature in his eyes dropped about 40 degrees. You refuse to feed a baby. The chef bristled. I run a business, not a soup kitchen. She couldn't pay. He couldn't. So you threw trash at a mother and infant sitting on your curb. I didn't throw trash at her, You threatened to call the police on a woman whose only crime was asking for help for her child. The chef's face reddened. Look, I don't know who you think you are, but… Tyler pulled out his phone and made a call. His voice was crisp, professional. James, I need you to look up who owns Antonio's restaurant on 5th Street. A pause. Yes, now. Another pause. Good. Buy it. Whatever they're asking, pay double. I want the deed by Monday. He hung up and looked at the chef, who had gone pale. In approximately 72 hours, I will own this restaurant. You're fired, effective immediately. You can't do that. I just did. You can leave now or I can have security remove you. Your choice. The chef looked between Tyler, Harper, and the woman. Then, muttering curses, he stormed back into the restaurant. Tyler turned to the blonde woman. She was crying again, but this time from relief. What's your name? He asked gently. Zoe, she whispered. Zoe Morgan. And this is my daughter, Lily. I'm Tyler Reed. This is my daughter Harper, who apparently has a career in theft and kidnapping ahead of her. Despite everything, Zoe laughed. It was a broken, exhausted sound, but it was genuine. Tyler looked at the baby in Harper's arms. Little Lily was gnawing on the collar of Harper's jacket, her big blue eyes fixed on the milk bottle sticking out of the pocket. When did she last eat? Tyler asked. Yesterday morning, Zoe said quietly. I've been trying to find work, but no one will hire me with a baby, and the shelters are all full because of the cold weather. I've been sleeping in a bus station. Tyler felt something crack in his chest. He prided himself on being logical, practical, unemotional in business. But looking at this young woman and her hungry baby, he couldn't find that cool detachment. Harper, give the baby to her mother. Harper carefully transferred Lily back to Zoe, who clutched her daughter and broke down completely. Tyler pulled out his wallet. He extracted a credit card and handed it to Zoe. There's a grocery store 2 blocks that way. Buy whatever you and your daughter need. Food, diapers, clothes, anything. The card has no limit. Zoe stared at the card like it was a mirage. I can't accept this. You can and you will. After you've shopped, come back here. I'll arrange a hotel room for tonight and we'll discuss more permanent solutions tomorrow. Why are you doing this? Tyler looked at Harper, who was watching him with shining eyes. His daughter had stolen food and kidnapped a baby because she thought it was the right thing to do. She had acted on pure compassion. Consequences be damned. When had he stopped being capable of that kind of immediate, instinctive goodness? Because my daughter reminded me what matters, he said simply. Now go, we'll wait here. Zoe hesitated, then nodded. She walked away, clutching the credit card like a lifeline, Lily still in her arms. Tyler watched her go, then looked down at Harper. We need to have a serious talk about stealing and kidnapping. Harper's face fell. I'm sorry, Daddy. But she was so hungry and he was so mean and... Tyler knelt down and pulled his daughter into a hug. I know. And I'm proud of you for wanting to help. But next time, come get me first. Don't put yourself in danger. You're not mad? I'm terrified. And impressed. And completely confused about how I'm supposed to parent you when you do things like this. Harper hugged him tightly. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, troublemaker. They stood there on the sidewalk, Tyler holding his daughter, both of them watching the direction Zoe had gone. Tyler had no idea that in helping this woman, he had just set in motion events that would unravel every carefully constructed lie his life had been built on. But he would find out soon enough. Zoe returned 90 minutes later, transformed. She still wore the same clothes, but she had washed her face in the grocery store bathroom and brushed her hair. She carried shopping bags in both hands, and Lily was drinking from a proper baby bottle, her eyes half closed in contentment. Tyler had been making arrangements during her absence. He'd called his assistant to book a suite at the Riverside Hotel, one of the nicest in Chicago. He'd also called his lawyer to discuss the restaurant purchase. Antonio's would be his by Monday morning. I didn't know what was allowed, Zoe said nervously, setting down the bags. I bought formula and diapers and some food for me and a few changes of clothes for Lily, but I can return. Keep it all, Tyler interrupted. Did you get yourself proper clothes? Zoe shook her head. I used most of the limit on Lily. She needed so much. Tyler pulled out his phone again. What size do you wear? You've done so much already. Size? 6, Zoe said quietly. But really, I'm fine. Tyler texted his assistant with a clothing order, then pocketed his phone. Done. A selection will be delivered to your hotel room tonight. Zoe looked like she might cry again. Why are you being so kind? Tyler glanced at Harper, who was making faces at baby Lily. His daughter had found a kindred spirit in this infant, apparently. I wasn't kind, Tyler said. I was convenient. My daughter was the kind one. She risked herself for a stranger's baby. That's remarkable. That's Harper. She has her mother's heart. Something flickered across Tyler's face when he mentioned his wife. Pain, old and deep. Zoe noticed but didn't comment. The hotel is ready, Tyler said, pulling his thoughts back to the present. My driver will take you. Tomorrow we'll discuss long-term arrangements. You need a job, I assume. Desperately. But I can't afford childcare and no one wants to hire someone who has to bring a baby to work. Tyler considered this. His company had a daycare facility for employees' children, though he'd rarely paid attention to it. His late wife had insisted on it being part of the building design. Can you read financial reports? Zoe blinked at the sudden question. Yes, I have a degree in business management. I used to work as an analyst before. She stopped, her expression closing off. Before what? Before my life fell apart, Zoe said quietly. It's a long story. Tyler nodded. Everyone had a long story. He certainly did. I need a new administrative assistant. My current one is retiring next month. The job involves scheduling correspondence, financial analysis, and occasionally attending meetings with me. It pays well. There's full benefits. And you can bring Lily to the office daycare. Zoe stared at him. You're offering me a job? You don't even know me. I know you're desperate enough to beg for food, but proud enough to offer work in exchange. I know you put your daughter's needs above your own. And I know my daughter trusted you enough to put a baby in your arms. That's enough. What if I'm terrible at the job? Then I'll fire you and we'll call it even for the restaurant I'm buying to spite a chef who was cruel to you. Despite herself, Zoe laughed. You're really buying the restaurant just because of what happened today? I'm buying the restaurant because I can, and because the previous owner clearly had poor judgment in staff. I'll install new management and donate the profits to food banks. Win-win. Harper tugged on her father's sleeve. Daddy, can Zoe and Lily come to dinner with us? Lily probably needs more food. Tyler looked at Zoe, who was clearly exhausted despite the shopping trip. Have you eaten today? I had some bread from what Harper brought. Then yes, dinner. There's a family restaurant nearby, nothing fancy, but the food is good and they're patient with children. I can't keep accepting. You can and you will. Think of it as a working interview. I'll assess your conversation skills and professional demeanor over pasta. Zoe smiled despite her protests. Is everything a business transaction with you? Usually, yes, it's simpler that way. Something in his tone suggested that simplicity had been hard-won, purchased at great emotional cost. They went to dinner. Harper sat next to Zoe and helped feed Lily, delighted to play big sister to the baby. Tyler watched his daughter interact with this woman and child, and felt something he hadn't experienced in the 3 years since his wife died. Peace. His life had been so carefully controlled since the funeral. Work, parenting Harper, maintaining his reputation, building his empire. He had routines and schedules and no room for spontaneity or chaos. But today, his daughter had thrown chaos directly into his path. And instead of feeling disrupted, he felt alive. What made you come to Chicago? Tyler asked Zoe during the meal. She tensed slightly. I grew up here. I left for a while, but I came back 6 months ago, before or after Lily was born. After. Lily's 4 months old. I came back when she was about 6 weeks. Her father? Tyler kept his voice neutral. He wasn't judging, just gathering information the way he would for any business arrangement. Zoe's expression hardened. Not in the picture, and before you ask, yes, I tried to make it work. No, he wasn't interested. He made it very clear that a baby didn't fit into his plans. Harper looked up from making airplane sounds with a spoon of mashed carrots intended for Lily. That's sad. Babies are the best. I think so too, Zoe said softly, stroking Lily's wispy hair. Tyler found himself studying Zoe more carefully. She was younger than he'd initially thought, probably mid-20s. Educated based on her speech patterns and the degree she'd mentioned. Clearly from circumstances that had once been comfortable, given her manners and the way she handled herself despite her current situation. What had happened to bring her so low, and why did he care so much about finding out? The job starts Monday if you want it, Tyler said abruptly. 9 to 5 with an hour for lunch. Bring Lily to the daycare center on the 3rd floor. HR will handle the paperwork. Zoe set down her fork. Mr. Reed. Tyler. Tyler. Why are you doing this? And please don't say because of Harper. This is more than just a kind gesture to make your daughter happy. Tyler was quiet for a moment. Harper was busy with Lily, not paying attention to the adults' conversation. 3 years ago, my wife died, he said finally. Cancer. It was fast and brutal, and it destroyed me. I threw myself into work because it was the only thing that made sense. Numbers and contracts and deals don't hurt. They don't leave you. They don't die. Zoe's eyes filled with compassion. I'm sorry. Harper lost her mother when she was 4. She barely remembers her. I've tried to be enough for her, but I'm not. I'm good at business. I'm not particularly good at being present, at being human. You seem pretty human to me. Today I am. Because my daughter reminded me how to be. She saw suffering and she acted immediately, without calculating the cost or the consequences. When's the last time I did that? Tyler looked at his daughter, who was making Lily giggle by playing peekaboo with a napkin. I'm offering you this job because I can help, and because I've spent 3 years not helping anyone unless there was a clear benefit to me. I'm tired of being that person. Zoe reached across the table and briefly touched his hand. The gesture was simple, compassionate, and completely unexpected. You're not that person. That person wouldn't have confronted the chef, wouldn't have bought the restaurant, wouldn't be having dinner with a homeless woman and her baby. Formerly homeless, Tyler corrected. As of tonight, you have a hotel room and a job. By next week, I'll help you find an apartment. I can't afford. Your salary will cover it. I pay well. Possibly too well according to my board, but they don't get a vote. Zoe smiled, and Tyler noticed it properly for the first time. She had a beautiful smile, warm and genuine despite everything she'd been through. He looked away quickly, disconcerted by the observation. After dinner, Tyler's driver took Zoe and Lily to the hotel. Harper fell asleep in the car on the way home, exhausted by the day's adventures. Tyler carried her up to her room and tucked her in, something he'd been doing more often lately. Daddy? Harper's sleepy voice stopped him at the door. Yes? Are we going to see Zoe and Lily again? Monday. She's going to work for me. Good. Harper yawned. I like them. They make you smile. Tyler paused. I smile. Not like today. Today you smiled with your eyes too. Out of the mouths of babes, Tyler thought. His 7-year-old daughter could read him better than most of his executives. Get some sleep, troublemaker. Love you, Daddy. Love you too. Tyler went to his study and poured himself a scotch. He stood at the window, looking out over the Chicago skyline, and thought about the day. He had bought a restaurant on impulse, hired a woman he knew nothing about, invited a stranger and her baby into his daughter's life. None of it made logical sense. All of it felt right. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for everything today. You and Harper saved our lives. I promise I'll work hard and make you proud. Zoe. Tyler stared at the message. How had she gotten his number? His assistant, probably, when arranging the hotel. He should establish boundaries. Keep things professional. Not blur the lines between employer and employee, especially not on day one. Instead, he texted back, looking forward to Monday. Get some rest, both of you. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, good night, Tyler. He set the phone down and finished his scotch. Monday would be interesting. What Tyler didn't know was that Zoe had secrets. Secrets that connected directly to his own past in ways that would shatter everything he thought he knew about his late wife, his life, and the choices that had brought him to this moment. But for now, he went to bed thinking only of a woman's grateful smile and a baby's blue eyes. And for the first time in 3 years, he slept without nightmares. Monday morning arrived with the kind of chaos that Tyler hadn't experienced in years. Harper insisted on picking out Zoe's office flowers, which meant a detour to a florist. Then she wanted to make a welcome card for Lily, which meant arts and crafts at the breakfast table that resulted in glitter everywhere. Tyler found himself laughing as he tried to brush sparkles off his Armani suit. You're getting glitter on your serious business face, Harper informed him solemnly. My what? The face you make when you're thinking about work. It's very serious and a little bit scary. Tyler looked in the mirror. She was right. He did have a face for business, all hard lines and cold calculation. Well, today I'm going to try for a less scary face. Good. Zoe and Lily might get frightened if you're too serious. They arrived at Reed Industries Tower at 8:30. Tyler's assistant, Margaret, was waiting with the HR paperwork for Zoe and a knowing look on her face. So, you hired someone without interviewing them, without checking references, and without running a background check. That's not like you. I'm trying something new called spontaneity. Margaret raised an eyebrow. At least tell me she's qualified. Business degree, previous experience as an analyst, she'll be fine. And if she's not, then I'll deal with it, like I deal with everything else. Margaret smiled. You're different lately. Harper's doing, I assume. Tyler thought about his daughter stealing food and kidnapping a baby. Entirely Harper's doing. Zoe arrived at 8:45, looking nervous and professional in a simple gray dress that had been part of the clothing delivery. She carried Lily in a proper baby carrier now, and the infant looked healthy and alert after a weekend of regular feeding. Harper squealed and ran to them immediately. "Lily, you got so big." "It's been 2 days," Tyler said with amusement. "Babies grow fast, Daddy." Tyler showed Zoe to her office, which was adjacent to his own. It was spacious and well-appointed, with a window overlooking the city. Zoe stared at it in disbelief. "This is too much." "It's practical. You need to be close since you'll be managing my schedule and handling confidential information. The window is standard. I don't believe in making people work in caves. I've seen executive assistants who work in cubicles. Not my executive assistants." Tyler gave her a quick tour, introduced her to key staff, and then took her to the third-floor daycare. It was a bright, cheerful space with qualified staff and age-appropriate equipment. Several employees' children were already there, playing or napping. The daycare director, a kind woman named Paula, immediately cooed over Lily. "What a sweetheart. We'll take excellent care of her, I promise." Zoe looked torn. "I've never left her with anyone before." "First time is always hard," Paula said gently. "But you're just 2 floors up. We'll call if she needs you." Zoe kissed Lily's head and reluctantly handed her over. The baby went without fuss, already distracted by a mobile of colorful fish. Back in the office, Tyler started Zoe with the basics: his calendar, his correspondence system, his preferences for meetings and calls. She absorbed information quickly, taking notes and asking intelligent questions. "You're a fast learner," Tyler observed after an hour. "I used to do this kind of work. It's familiar." "Used to? What changed?" Zoe's expression closed slightly. "Life, circumstances. I'll tell you sometime, but not today. Today I just want to focus on doing this job right." Tyler nodded. Everyone was entitled to their secrets, himself included. The morning progressed smoothly. Zoe handled calls with professionalism, rearranged his schedule to be more efficient, and caught 2 errors in financial reports that Margaret had missed. "She's good," Margaret whispered to Tyler during a coffee break. "Really good. How did you find her?" "She found me. Sort of. Long story." At lunch, Tyler invited Zoe to the executive dining room. She hesitated. "Is that appropriate? I'm just an assistant." "You're my employee, and I'm inviting you to lunch. That's completely appropriate." The executive dining room was elegant, but not ostentatious. Several other executives were there, and Tyler could feel them watching as he sat down with Zoe. Let them wonder, he thought. He didn't owe anyone an explanation. "How's the first day?" Tyler asked once they'd ordered. "Overwhelming. Good overwhelming, though. I keep expecting to wake up and find out the last 3 days were a dream." "They're real. You're here. You're doing well." Zoe smiled. "Thank you for all of this. I don't think I've said that enough. You've said it plenty." They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Zoe spoke quietly. "Can I ask you something personal?" Tyler tensed slightly. "You can ask. I may not answer." "Your wife, what was she like?" Tyler set down his fork. It was a fair question, but it still hurt to talk about. "She was kind, creative. She saw good in everyone, even when they didn't deserve it. She loved Harper more than anything. And she died too young, in too much pain for no good reason." "How long were you married?" 10 years. We met in college. She was an art major. I was business. Everyone said we were too different, but it worked. Until it didn't." "What do you mean?" Tyler was quiet for a moment. "The last 2 years were hard, before the cancer. We were drifting apart. I was working too much. She was unhappy and we couldn't seem to fix it. Then she got sick and suddenly all those problems seemed trivial. I would have given anything for more time to make it right." Zoe reached across the table and touched his hand, just like she had at dinner that first night. "I'm sure she knew you loved her." "I hope so." Tyler looked at Zoe's hand on his, small and warm. "What about you?" Lily's father? Zoe withdrew her hand quickly. Not a good topic. You asked about my wife. That's different. Your wife passed away. Lily's father is just an asshole. Despite the heavy conversation, Tyler smiled at her bluntness. Fair enough. They finished lunch and returned to work. The afternoon was busy with back-to-back meetings. Zoe sat in on several, taking notes and proving herself adept at reading the room and anticipating Tyler's needs. She's sharp, one of his VPs commented after a strategy session. Where'd you find her? She's new, Tyler said simply. But yes, she's very sharp. At 5 o'clock, Zoe went to collect Lily from daycare. She returned to Tyler's office with the baby on her hip, looking anxious. Is it okay if I finish up tomorrow's schedule real quick? I'm almost done. Take your time. Tyler watched as Zoe worked one-handed, typing efficiently while Lily played with her necklace. It was impressive, actually, her ability to multitask. Harper appeared in the doorway at 5:15, having been picked up from school by the family driver. Lily! She ran over and immediately started making faces at the baby, who giggled in delight. Harper, let Zoe work, Tyler said. I don't mind, Zoe assured him. Harper's great with her. They stayed until 6, which was earlier than Tyler usually left but late for someone with an infant. As they all walked to the parking garage together, Tyler found himself reluctant for the day to end. Same time tomorrow? He asked Zoe. Absolutely. Thank you again for today. It was the best day I've had in months. You did all the work. I just provided the office. You provided a lot more than that. In the car, Harper was uncharacteristically quiet. Tyler glanced at her in the rearview mirror. What's wrong, troublemaker? Nothing's wrong, I was just thinking. About? About how Zoe and Lily don't have anyone except us now. That must be lonely. Tyler's heart clenched. His daughter had such an enormous capacity for empathy. They have themselves, and yes, they have us as friends now too. Can we invite them to dinner again? Maybe this weekend. Can Lily come to my school's fall festival next month? If Zoe wants to bring her, sure. Harper smiled, satisfied. Good, because Lily needs to see the pumpkin patch. All babies should see pumpkins. Tyler laughed. Is that a rule? It's my rule. When they got home, Harper went straight to her room to draw pictures for Lily. Tyler went to his study and reviewed the day. Hiring Zoe had been impulsive, possibly reckless. Definitely outside his normal careful approach to business. But it felt right. She was good at the job, Harper loved her. And for the first time in years, Tyler didn't feel quite so alone. His phone buzzed. A text from Zoe. Lily and I are in our new apartment, small but perfect. Thank you for helping me find it. We're going to be okay now. Because of you. Tyler stared at the message. He had indeed helped her find an apartment over the weekend, co-signed the lease, and provided the deposit. It was a small place in a safe neighborhood, close to a park. He texted back, You're going to be okay because you're strong and capable. I just opened a door, you walked through it. Her response came quickly. Still, thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. Tyler set down the phone, troubled by her words. Seeing her when she was invisible. How many people had walked past her on that curb, seen her crying with a hungry baby, and done nothing? How many times had he walked past suffering and done nothing because it wasn't convenient or professional, or part of his carefully controlled world? Harper had given him a gift that day. Not just the opportunity to help Zoe and Lily, but the reminder that people mattered more than profits. That kindness didn't have to be calculated. That sometimes the right thing was also the spontaneous thing. Tyler poured himself a scotch and stood at his window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Zoe was putting Lily to bed in their tiny apartment. Starting over, building a new life from ruins. He understood that feeling more than she knew. His own life had been ruins 3 years ago when his wife died. He'd rebuilt it through sheer force of will, constructing walls of work and routine to keep the grief at bay. But maybe it was time to stop building walls. Maybe it was time to open windows instead. Tyler raised his glass to the city and whispered, to second chances. He didn't know that Zoe's past was about to collide with his present in explosive fashion. He didn't know that helping her would unearth secrets his late wife had kept. He didn't know that the simple act of kindness Harper had started would lead to revelations that would test everything he believed about trust and truth and love. But he would find out soon, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 weeks into Zoe's employment, everything fell apart. It started with a phone call Tyler received during a board meeting, his personal cell, which he kept on silent during meetings but checked for emergencies. The caller ID showed a Chicago number he didn't recognize. Normally he would have ignored it, but something made him step out of the meeting and answer. Tyler Reed. Mr. Reed, this is Detective Marcus Sullivan with the Chicago PD. I need to ask you some questions about Zoe Morgan. Tyler's blood went cold. What about her? You're listed as her employer and emergency contact. We need you to come to the 5th District Station. It's urgent. Is she hurt? Is the baby okay? She's not hurt, but there's been an incident. How soon can you get here? Tyler was already moving. 15 minutes. He texted his assistant to reschedule the rest of his day, grabbed his coat, and headed for the parking garage. His mind raced through possibilities, none of them good. The police station was busy with the usual chaos of a Monday afternoon. Tyler identified himself at the desk and was immediately shown to a conference room where Detective Sullivan waited. The detective was in his 50s, weathered and tired-looking. He gestured for Tyler to sit. Thank you for coming so quickly. I need to ask about your relationship with Zoe Morgan. She's my executive assistant. I hired her 3 weeks ago. What's this about? Before that, how did you meet? Tyler explained the incident with Harper, the restaurant, the job offer. Sullivan took notes. So you knew nothing about her before that day? Nothing. Why? What's happened? Sullivan pulled out a file. Zoe Morgan is her legal name, but it's not the name she was born with. She changed it 6 months ago. Her birth name is Zoe Peterson. The name hit Tyler like a freight train. Peterson, his late wife's maiden name. I don't understand. Your wife was Caroline Peterson before she married you, correct? Yes. Caroline had a younger sister, Rachel Peterson. Did you know her? Tyler's mind spun. Caroline mentioned a sister once or twice, but they were estranged. I never met her. Caroline said Rachel made bad choices and they lost touch years ago. Rachel Peterson died 8 months ago. Overdose. She left behind a daughter. Sullivan slid a photo across the table. This daughter. It was a picture of Zoe, younger, with darker hair, but unmistakably her. Zoe is Caroline's niece? Tyler could barely process the words. Yes, which makes you her uncle by marriage. Did she tell you this when you hired her? No. She said nothing. Tyler's hands clenched. Why wouldn't she tell me? That's what we're trying to figure out. Because 4 days ago, someone filed a complaint alleging that Zoe deliberately sought you out, concealed her identity, and manipulated you into giving her a job and financial support. Who filed the complaint? Sullivan consulted his notes. An anonymous tip, but we're required to investigate claims of fraud, especially when they involve someone in your position. Tyler stood up, too agitated to sit. This is absurd. Zoe didn't seek me out. My daughter literally ran into her on the street. Did she, though? Or did Ms. Morgan arrange to be on that street at the exact time you and your daughter would be there? Tyler's mind raced back to that day. The restaurant was across from a tailoring shop he visited regularly, always on Saturdays, always around the same time because Harper had dance class at 11. Anyone who watched his routine could have known he'd be there. But no, that was paranoia. Zoe had been genuinely desperate, genuinely hungry, genuinely crying over her baby's hunger. Hadn't she? Where is Zoe now? Tyler asked. Interview room 2. We brought her in for questioning an hour ago. The baby is with child services temporarily. You took Lily? Tyler's voice rose. She's 4 months old. Standard procedure when a parent is being investigated. Ms. Morgan will get her back once we clear this up. I want to see her, Zoe, now. Sullivan hesitated, then nodded. Follow me. The interview room was small and depressing. Zoe sat at a metal table, her eyes red from crying. When she saw Tyler, her expression crumbled. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I should have told you. Tyler sat down across from her. Sullivan remained standing by the door. You're Caroline's niece. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Zoe wiped her eyes. Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. You'd think I was using you. That everything was calculated. Was it? The question hung in the air like poison. Zoe looked at him with devastated honesty. No, God, no. I didn't know who you were that day at the restaurant, I swear. How is that possible? You knew your aunt married someone. I knew she married a man named Tyler. I didn't know his last name. My mother and Caroline stopped speaking when I was 12. I never met you. Never saw wedding photos. Caroline cut us off completely. Tyler remembered Caroline mentioning this. Her family had disapproved of the marriage because Tyler came from nothing and built his wealth himself. They'd wanted her to marry old money, someone from their social circle. So you genuinely didn't recognize me? Tyler asked. Not until the third day of work. I saw a photo on your desk, you and Caroline and Harper. I recognized my aunt immediately. And I panicked. Why not tell me then? Because I thought you'd fire me. I thought you'd think exactly what you're thinking now, that I engineered everything to get close to you and get money. Did you? Zoe slammed her hand on the table. No, I was homeless, Tyler. I was sleeping in a bus station with a 4-month-old baby. I was begging for food. Do you think I would put Lily through that as some kind of elaborate con? Sullivan interjected quietly. The timeline supports her story. Ms. Morgan's mother died 8 months ago. Ms. Morgan gave birth 6 months ago in Indiana. She came to Chicago 4 months ago. She's been homeless for approximately 6 weeks based on shelter records. Then what's the investigation about? Tyler demanded. The anonymous tip suggested Ms. Morgan researched you, found out about your Saturday routine, and staged the encounter, that she's after your money and is using the family connection to manipulate you. Tyler looked at Zoe. Did you research me? After I realized who you were, yes. I looked you up. I wanted to understand what kind of man you were, whether you knew about me, whether Caroline had ever mentioned me to you. Had she? I don't know. Did she? Tyler thought back. Caroline had been secretive about her family, ashamed of cutting ties. But she'd never mentioned a niece. Never mentioned that her estranged sister had a child. No, she never said anything about you. Zoe's face fell. I'm not surprised. My mom was the family embarrassment, drug addict, multiple arrests. She chose drugs over everything, including me. Caroline probably wanted to pretend we didn't exist. If you knew I was your uncle by marriage, why not just tell me? Why hide it? Because I was terrified. Zoe's voice broke. I finally had a job, an apartment, a chance to give Lily a real life. I thought if you knew the truth, you'd think I was like my mother. That addiction and bad choices ran in the family, that I'd be a liability. Tyler sat back, trying to process everything. Who filed the anonymous tip? Sullivan shrugged. We're trying to trace it, but it came from someone who knows both of you and knows the family connection. My wife has been dead for 3 years. Who would know about Zoe? That's what we need to find out. Tyler looked at Zoe, studying her face for any sign of deception. All he saw was exhausted honesty and genuine fear. I believe her, he said to Sullivan. There's no fraud here. She's Caroline's niece, yes, but she didn't manipulate me. Everything happened exactly as I told you. You're certain? Completely. Sullivan closed his notebook. Then we're done here. Ms. Morgan, you're free to go. We'll call child services and have Lily returned to you immediately. Zoe nearly collapsed with relief. Thank you, oh God, thank you. Tyler stood. I'll drive you to pick up Lily. They didn't speak in the elevator or the parking garage. The silence was heavy with unspoken questions and fractured trust. Finally, in the car, Tyler said quietly, Tell me everything, from the beginning. The truth. Zoe took a shaky breath. My mother was Rachel Peterson, Caroline's younger sister. They grew up wealthy, but my mom had problems. Drugs started in high school. By the time she was 20, she was a full addict. Caroline was already in college, already pulling away from the family. And you? I was born when my mom was 22. She tried to get clean for me, failed, tried again, failed again. Caroline cut off all contact when I was 12. Said she couldn't watch my mom self-destruct anymore. That must have been hard. It destroyed my mom. She loved Caroline, looked up to her. When Caroline cut her off, it was like she gave up completely. The drugs got worse. I spent my teenage years in and out of foster care. Tyler's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Caroline never told me any of this. I'm not surprised. She was probably ashamed. My mom was the family failure, and Caroline worked so hard to distance herself from that. What happened to your mother? She overdosed 8 months ago. I was 6 months pregnant at the time. I hadn't seen her in 2 years, but I was still listed as her next of kin. I had to identify the body. Tyler heard the pain in her voice. Whatever Rachel Peterson had been, she was still Zoe's mother. And Lily's father? Zoe's expression hardened. A mistake. Someone I thought I could build a life with. When I told him I was pregnant, he made it clear he wanted nothing to do with us. He's not on the birth certificate. He's never met Lily. And he never will if I have anything to say about it. So you came to Chicago after Lily was born? I came because this was home. Because my mom was buried here and I wanted to be near her grave, as pathetic as that sounds. I had some savings from my old job, but they ran out fast. I couldn't find work with a newborn. I couldn't afford childcare. Everything spiraled. Until Harper found you. Until your daughter reminded me that the world still had good people in it. Zoe looked at him. I know you have no reason to trust me now. I know I should have told you about the family connection. But I swear to you, Tyler, I didn't plan any of this. I was just trying to survive. Tyler pulled into the Child Services building parking lot. He turned off the engine and looked at Zoe. I believe you. You do? My daughter is an excellent judge of character, and she trusted you from the first moment. That's good enough for me. Zoe's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. But no more secrets. If we're going to move forward, you need to be honest with me about everything. I will, I promise. They went inside and retrieved Lily, who had been crying inconsolably since being separated from Zoe. The moment the baby was back in her mother's arms, she quieted, hiccuping and clinging. In the car, Zoe held Lily close and whispered, I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Tyler drove them home and then made a decision. You're coming to my house for dinner, both of you. Harper needs to see that Lily is okay, and we need to figure out who filed that complaint and why. Tyler, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. Now stop arguing and let me help. Zoe smiled despite her tears. You're very bossy for someone who claims to be spontaneous now. I contain multitudes. At Tyler's house, Harper was overjoyed to see Lily. She immediately took over baby duty, playing with her in the living room while Tyler and Zoe talked in the kitchen. Who would report you to the police? Tyler asked as he made coffee. I have no idea. I don't know anyone in Chicago except you and the people at work. Someone knows about the family connection. Someone who wants to hurt you or hurt me or both. Zoe thought for a moment. Did Caroline have family, parents, siblings besides my mom? Her parents died years ago. Car accident. It was just her and your mother as far as I knew. Then who? Tyler's phone rang. Margaret, his assistant. Tyler, we have a problem. Someone leaked Zoe's employment to the media. They're calling it a scandal. CEO hires homeless woman who turns out to be his late wife's secret niece. It's all over the business news. Tyler closed his eyes. When did this break? 20 minutes ago. Your PR team is going insane. Tell them I'll handle it. No comment for now. He hung up and looked at Zoe. The media knows. Her face went pale. Oh God, this is going to ruin you. It's not going to ruin anyone, it's just noise. It's not noise, it's your reputation. People will think I'm manipulating you. People can think whatever they want, I know the truth. But even as he said it, Tyler wondered, who was orchestrating this? Who stood to gain from destroying Zoe's credibility and his reputation? The answer came 2 hours later when his lawyer called. Tyler, you need to sit down for this. I found out who owns the company that filed the anonymous complaint. It's a shell corporation, but I traced it back to the owner. Who? Your late wife's estate attorney, Martin Hutchinson. Tyler felt the world tilt. Hutch? Why would Hutch do this? I don't know. But he's been Caroline's family lawyer for 20 years. If anyone knew about Zoe, it would be him. Tyler looked at Zoe, who was watching him with growing dread. I need to talk to Hutch now. What Tyler didn't know was that this was only the beginning, that Caroline's secrets went far deeper than anyone imagined, and that Zoe's presence in his life was about to unravel a conspiracy that had been years in the making. The truth was coming, whether they were ready for it or not. Martin Hutchinson agreed to meet Tyler at his office that evening. The lawyer was in his 60s, distinguished and proper, the kind of man who inspired trust through sheer gravitas. Tyler had trusted him completely, until now. Tyler, this is a delicate matter, Hutch began as they sat in his mahogany-paneled office. I filed that complaint because I had to protect you. Protect me from what? From helping Caroline's niece? From being manipulated by her. Zoe Morgan is not who she appears to be. Tyler's jaw clenched. Explain. Hutch pulled out a file. 6 months before Caroline died, she came to me with concerns about her sister Rachel. Said Rachel was using again, getting involved with dangerous people. Caroline was worried that Rachel would eventually come to you for money, or worse, try to use family connections to get close to Harper. Caroline never mentioned this to me. She didn't want to worry you. She was already sick. She asked me to put safeguards in place, legal documents that would prevent Rachel or anyone associated with her from making claims on the estate or getting access to Harper. Tyler felt cold. What kind of documents? Hutch slid a paper across the desk. It was a letter, in Caroline's handwriting. If anything happens to me, keep my family away from Tyler and Harper. Rachel will destroy them the way she tried to destroy me. Don't let her poison my daughter's life. Whatever it takes, keep them safe from the Petersons. Tyler stared at his late wife's words. When did she write this? 3 months before she died. She was clear, Tyler. She wanted her sister and any children Rachel might have kept away from you. Zoe is not her mother, isn't she? She shows up homeless with a baby, conveniently in your path, conveniently sympathetic. Your daughter falls for her, you hire her, and suddenly she's embedded in your life. It's textbook manipulation. You don't know her. I know her mother. Rachel Peterson conned everyone she met, stole from her own parents, used Caroline's credit cards for drug money. Why would the daughter be any different? Tyler stood up, too angry to sit. Because she's not her mother. Because she's worked hard, taken care of her child, and never once asked me for anything beyond what she's earned. Yet. She hasn't asked yet. Give it time. You filed a false complaint with the police. You leaked her employment to the media. You're trying to destroy her life. Hutch remained calm. I'm trying to protect you. Caroline asked me to, and I made her a promise. I'm keeping it. Caroline's been dead for 3 years, and her wishes still matter. She knew her family, Tyler. She knew what they were capable of. She wanted them kept away from you and Harper for a reason. Tyler paced the office. Did Caroline know about Zoe specifically? Did she know Rachel had a daughter? Hutch hesitated. Yes, Caroline knew. Rachel sent her a letter when Zoe was born, asking for financial help. Caroline refused, said she was done enabling Rachel's lifestyle. So she abandoned a baby? She protected herself, there's a difference. Tyler looked at the photo of Caroline on Hutch's desk. His beautiful, kind wife who had loved Harper so completely. Could she really have turned her back on a baby? On her own niece? I need to see all the documents, everything Caroline left regarding her family. Tyler, I don't think... Everything. Now. or I'll have my lawyers tear apart every decision you've made for the estate until we find what you're hiding." Hutch's expression flickered. Just for a moment, Tyler saw something like guilt. "There's more, isn't there?" Tyler pressed. "What else did Caroline hide?" Hutch was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out another file, this one thicker. Caroline set up a trust. For Zoe. Tyler's world stopped. "What?" 10 years ago, before you were even married, Caroline established a trust fund for her sister's daughter. $500,000, to be released when Zoe turned 25. With conditions. What conditions? That Zoe never contact Caroline or her family, that she never reveal the connection, that she essentially disappear from Caroline's life in exchange for financial security. Tyler felt sick. Caroline paid her own niece to stay away. She thought it was kindness, a way to help Zoe without enabling Rachel's addiction or opening herself up to manipulation. When does Zoe turn 25? Hutch checked the file. Last month. So she's entitled to $500,000 and she doesn't know it? She would know if she'd complied with the terms, but she didn't. She came to Chicago, she got close to you, she violated the agreement. An agreement she never signed. She probably doesn't even know it exists. Ignorance doesn't void a legal document. Tyler grabbed the file. "I'm taking this, and I'm telling Zoe everything." Tyler, wait. Think about this. If you tell her about the money, you'll never know if she really cared about you or if she was after the trust all along. The words hit like a knife. Tyler paused at the door. If you really believed that, you wouldn't have tried so hard to drive her away. You're not protecting me, Hutch. You're protecting something else. Caroline's reputation, maybe, or your own role in this mess. I'm protecting her wishes. Her wishes were wrong. Tyler left before Hutch could respond. Back at his house, Zoe was still there with Lily. Harper had fallen asleep on the couch next to them, clearly exhausted by the emotional day. Zoe had tears on her face. "The news is saying terrible things," she whispered when Tyler entered. "They're calling me a con artist, saying I'm using you, that I planned everything." Tyler sat down beside her. "I know about the trust." Zoe blinked. "What trust?" "Caroline set up a trust fund for you, $500,000. It was supposed to be released on your 25th birthday. Zoe stared at him in disbelief. "I don't understand." Tyler explained everything. The letter from Caroline, the conditions, Hutch's involvement. "She paid me to stay away from her?" Zoe's voice was small, broken. "My own aunt?" She thought she was helping, protecting herself and helping you at the same time. By bribing me to erase myself from existence? Tyler had no answer for that. Zoe stood up, carefully moving Lily to the couch cushion beside Harper. She walked to the window, her arms wrapped around herself. "My whole life I thought maybe Caroline didn't know about me, that my mom never told her, that if she'd known she would have helped." Zoe's voice cracked. "But she knew, and she chose money over family." "Zoe, I don't want the money. I don't want anything from her. It's yours legally." "I don't care." Zoe turned, her eyes blazing. "She thought she could buy me off, make me disappear. What kind of person does that?" Tyler thought about Carolyn, the woman he'd married, the mother of his child. He'd thought he knew her completely. But this revelation showed a side of her he'd never seen. Cold, calculating, willing to abandon family to protect her own comfort. "I don't know," Tyler said honestly. "I thought I knew her, but maybe I didn't." Zoe sank into a chair, suddenly exhausted. "I'm sorry. She was your wife. I shouldn't speak ill of her. You have every right to be angry. I'm not just angry. I'm hurt. I spent my whole childhood wondering why I wasn't enough for my family to love, why my mom chose drugs over me, why my aunt cut us off. Now I know. I wasn't worth the inconvenience." Tyler crossed to her and knelt down so they were eye level. "You are worth everything. Caroline was wrong. Whatever her reasons, whatever she was trying to protect, She was wrong to abandon you. You're only saying that because you feel guilty. I'm saying it because it's true. You're smart and kind and strong. You survived things that would have broken most people. You're raising a beautiful daughter against impossible odds. You're worth 10 of whatever Caroline was protecting. Zoe's eyes filled with tears. Why are you being so nice to me? Because someone should have been nice to you a long time ago. They sat there in the quiet living room. Two broken people trying to make sense of the wreckage others had left behind. After a while, Zoe spoke softly. What do we do now? We fight back. We release a statement to the press explaining the family connection and making it clear you did nothing wrong. We accept the trust money because it's legally yours and you can use it to build a better life for Lily. And we figure out how to move forward from here. As what? Employer and employee? Tyler met her eyes. I don't know. But I know I'm not ready for you to disappear from my life. Even though I'm connected to all this mess, to Caroline's secrets? Especially because of that. You're the truth Caroline tried to hide, and I'm done living with lies. Zoe reached out and touched his face gently. You're a good man, Tyler Reed. I'm trying to be. They stayed like that, the moment stretching between them, charged with something neither was quite ready to name. Then Lily woke up crying, and the spell broke. Zoe tended to her daughter while Tyler carried Harper up to bed. When he came back down, Zoe was preparing to leave. Stay, Tyler said impulsively. It's late. You're exhausted. Take the guest room. Both of you. Tyler. No arguments, just for tonight. Tomorrow we deal with lawyers and media and all of it. But tonight, just rest. Zoe looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Tyler showed her to the guest room, brought up supplies for Lily, and said goodnight. But he didn't sleep. He lay in bed thinking about Caroline's letter, about the trust, about all the secrets his wife had kept. Had he ever really known her? Or had he been in love with the version of her she'd wanted him to see? And what did it say about him that he'd been so blind? His phone buzzed. A text from Hutch. I'm sorry, Tyler. I thought I was doing the right thing. Caroline made me promise to protect you. I've been trying to honor that. But maybe I was protecting the wrong things. I'll help however I can to make this right. Tyler stared at the message. Too little, too late. But at least it was something. He texted back. Release all documents related to the trust. I want Zoe to have everything she's entitled to. Already done, it'll be in her account by morning. Tyler set down his phone and closed his eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The media, the trust, figuring out what came next with Zoe. But tonight, his house held people who needed him. Harper, sleeping peacefully. Zoe and Lily safe in the guest room. For now, that was enough. The media storm lasted a week. Speculation, gossip, and hot takes flooded every business news outlet and social media platform. CEO hires secret niece. Dead wife's hidden family emerges. Trust fund scandal. Tyler handled it the only way he knew how, with brutal honesty. He released a statement explaining everything. The chance encounter, Harper's intervention, the family connection Zoe hadn't known about initially, and Caroline's trust fund. He laid it all out, transparent and unflinching. My late wife established a trust for her niece years ago, believing it was the kindest way to help while maintaining distance. I disagree with that choice, but I respect that she was trying to navigate a difficult family situation. Zoe Morgan is an exemplary employee who earned her position through merit, not manipulation. She is also family, and I'm proud to help her build a better life for herself and her daughter. The statement didn't silence everyone, but it shifted the narrative. Instead of a scandal, it became a story about second chances and families finding each other. Harper, of course, loved every minute of it. We're famous, she announced at breakfast one morning, showing Tyler her tablet where a news site had run a photo of him, Harper, Zoe, and Lily at a charity event they'd attended. We're not famous, sweetheart. We're just temporarily interesting. Same thing. Zoe smiled from across the table. She'd been staying at the house for the past week, officially because the media was camped outside her apartment, but unofficially because none of them wanted her to leave. It had become natural somehow. Zoe making coffee in the morning. Lily playing on a blanket in Tyler's study while he worked. Harper teaching both Zoe and Lily about the important things in life, like how to properly judge a Disney movie and why glitter made everything better. Tyler's house had transformed from a quiet, controlled space into something chaotic and alive. He loved it. "The trust money cleared," Zoe said after Harper ran off to get ready for school. $500,000 just appeared in my account this morning. Good. It doesn't feel good. It feels like blood money. Tyler poured her more coffee. Then use it for something that would make Caroline uncomfortable. Donate to addiction recovery programs in Rachel's name. Set up a scholarship for kids from difficult backgrounds. Take the thing Caroline meant as a bribe and turn it into something that actually helps people. Zoe's eyes lit up. I love that. And keep enough to make your life and Lily's life secure. You've earned that. I haven't earned anything, I just survived. Survival is an achievement, don't diminish it. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Zoe spoke quietly. I need to tell you something. Tyler's heart rate picked up. Okay. I'm falling for you. The words hung in the air between them. Zoe. I know it's complicated. I know I work for you and I'm Caroline's niece and there are 1,000 reasons this is a terrible idea. But I can't keep pretending I don't feel it. Tyler set down his coffee cup carefully. How long? Since the first week, maybe? You were so patient with me. So kind. And the way you are with Harper, the way you're trying so hard to be present and good, it just... She stopped, frustrated with words. You make me believe good men exist. I'm not that good. You're better than you think. Tyler stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the Chicago morning was gray and cold. Inside, his life was warm and complicated and terrifying. I'm falling for you too, he said without turning around. I have been for weeks, maybe since the beginning. He heard Zoe's sharp intake of breath. But, Tyler continued, we need to be smart about this. You work for me. Your family, technically. There are power dynamics and optics, and I don't care about optics. Tyler turned to face her. You should. So should I. We've already been through one media circus. If we rush into something and it falls apart, Harper gets hurt. Lily gets hurt. You get hurt. So what do you suggest? We take it slow. I'll have HR transfer you to a different department so there's no conflict of interest. We date properly. Get to know each other outside of crisis mode. And if it works, if we're still sure 6 months from now, we move forward. Zoe smiled. You want to date me? Very much. Officially? Officially. What about Caroline? What about the fact that I'm her niece and this is weird? Tyler walked over and took Zoe's hands. Caroline's been gone for 3 years, and I'm beginning to realize I didn't know her as well as I thought. She kept secrets, made choices I don't agree with. I loved her, but she's part of my past, you're part of my present. And Harper? Harper already loves you and Lily. She's been asking when you're going to officially be part of the family since week 2. Zoe laughed. She has not. She absolutely has. Last week she asked if Lily could be her sister. I told her that wasn't quite how it worked, but she's determined. What did you tell her about us? Nothing yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Zoe stood and moved closer. Talk to me now. Tyler brushed a strand of hair from her face. I want to try this. Us. I want to see where it goes, but I need to know you're sure that you're not doing this because you feel obligated or grateful or... Zoe kissed him. It was gentle and brief, but it answered every question. When they pulled apart, Tyler was smiling. So that's a yes? That's a very definite yes. They heard footsteps on the stairs. Harper, coming down with Lily in her arms, chattering about breakfast and school and whether babies could eat pancakes. Tyler and Zoe stepped apart, but Harper wasn't fooled. Were you kissing? She demanded, delighted. No, Tyler said. Maybe, Zoe said at the same time. Harper grinned. Good, it's about time. About time? Tyler raised an eyebrow. You've been making googly eyes at each other for weeks. It was getting embarrassing. Zoe burst out laughing. Tyler just shook his head, amazed as always by his daughter's perception. Well, since you approve, Tyler said dryly, Zoe and I are going to start dating. Officially. Harper's shriek of joy probably woke the neighbors. She handed Lily to Zoe and launched herself at Tyler, hugging him fiercely. I knew it. I knew you liked each other. You're taking credit for this? Obviously, I found them. I rescued Lily. I'm basically Cupid. Cupid with grand larceny on her record, Tyler muttered, but he was smiling. The next 6 months were a study in controlled chaos. Tyler transferred Zoe to the operations department, where she quickly became invaluable. He dated her properly. Dinners, movies, walks in the park with Harper and Lily. They took it slow, building trust and friendship alongside the growing romance. The media attention faded. Other scandals took precedence. Tyler's company thrived. Harper started 3rd grade. Lily grew and learned to crawl, then to pull herself up on furniture. And slowly, carefully, they became a family. Not without bumps. There were arguments about Caroline's memory and what they owed her. Discussions about whether it was too soon, too weird, too complicated. But they worked through it. Because underneath all the complications was something simple and true. They loved each other. 6 months to the day after their first kiss, Tyler took Zoe and both girls to the park where he'd proposed to Caroline years ago. It felt right somehow, honoring the past while building the future. I have something for you, he said as they sat on a bench watching Harper push Lily on a baby swing. Zoe smiled. Is this the 6-month evaluation? Did I pass? With flying colors. Tyler pulled out a small box. Zoe Morgan, I love you. I love your strength and your kindness and the way you turned your pain into something beautiful. I love how you love Lily and how you've embraced Harper. I love who I am when I'm with you. Zoe's eyes were already filling with tears. I know we have a complicated history. I know this whole thing started in the strangest way possible, but I can't imagine my life without you in it. So I'm asking, will you marry me? He opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple and elegant. Zoe covered her mouth with her hands, crying and laughing at the same time. Yes, God, yes. Tyler slid the ring on her finger and they kissed while Harper whooped in the background and Lily clapped her chubby hands, not understanding but delighted by the excitement. I can't believe this is happening, Zoe whispered against Tyler's shoulder. A year ago I was homeless. Now I'm engaged to a CEO. A year ago I was going through the motions of life. Now I'm actually living it. We saved each other. Harper saved us. Harper definitely saved us. They married 6 months later in a small ceremony at Tyler's house. Just family and close friends. Harper was the flower girl, of course, and Lily was learning to walk, which made for adorable if chaotic photos. Martin Hutchinson attended, having made peace with Tyler after weeks of difficult conversations about Caroline and her choices. He gave a toast about second chances and the unexpected ways families formed. Caroline wanted to protect the people she loved, Hutch said, raising his glass. But sometimes protection becomes prison. I think she would be glad to know that in the end, her attempt to keep everyone separate actually brought them together. To Tyler and Zoe, to family, in all its messy, complicated, beautiful forms. They honeymooned in Italy, bringing both girls because neither Tyler nor Zoe wanted to be apart from them. It was chaotic and exhausting and perfect. When they returned, Zoe officially moved into Tyler's house. She turned the trust money into the Rachel Peterson Foundation, which funded addiction recovery programs and support for children of addicts. Harper loved having a little sister. Lily's first word was harp, which delighted everyone, and Tyler discovered that happiness didn't have to be controlled or scheduled or carefully managed. Sometimes it came from chaos, from a 7-year-old stealing food for a hungry baby, from taking chances on people, from opening your life to the unexpected. 5 years later, Tyler stood in his backyard watching his family. Harper was 13 now, already showing signs of the remarkable woman she would become. Lily was 5, starting kindergarten and asking 1,000 questions about everything. Zoe was pregnant with their son, due in 3 months. His company had grown, but he'd learned to delegate, to be present, to value moments over meetings. He thought about that day at the restaurant sometimes, about how close he'd come to missing all of this. If Harper had been less brave, if he'd been too busy to answer her call, if he'd let social conventions and worry about appearances stop him from helping. But she had been brave. He had answered, and everything had changed. "Daddy!" Lily ran over, her blonde hair flying. "Watch me do a cartwheel." "I'm watching." The cartwheel was more of a sideways collapse, but Tyler applauded anyway. Zoe walked over and leaned against him, his arm automatically going around her shoulders. "Happy?" she asked. "Incredibly. Even with all the chaos?" "Especially with the chaos." Harper joined them, Harper's tablet in hand. "Dad, there's an article about us. CEO Tyler Reed and wife Zoe celebrate 5 years of marriage, built on an act of childhood kindness. Are they going to remind everyone I was a kidnapper?" Harper asked with amusement. She'd grown to find the whole story hilarious. "Probably," Tyler said. "Is that going to be a problem?" "Nah, it makes me sound cool." They stood together, the family that chance and choice and courage had built. Not perfect, not simple, but theirs, and that was more than enough. That evening, after the girls were in bed, Tyler and Zoe sat on their back porch watching the stars. "Do you ever wonder what Caroline would think?" Zoe asked quietly. "About us?" Tyler considered the question. "I think she'd be surprised, maybe uncomfortable at first, but I hope she'd eventually be glad that something good came from all the complicated choices she made. I wish I'd known her, the real her, not just the aunt who paid me to disappear. I wish I'd known her better too, but we can't change the past. We can only honor it by living well now." Zoe took his hand. "Do you think our son will ask about all this someday? About how we met? About Caroline and my mom and all the messy history?" "Definitely. And we'll tell him the truth. That families are complicated. That people make mistakes. But that love can heal things we think are broken beyond repair." "That's very wise. I have my moments." They sat in comfortable silence, two people who had found each other through the most unlikely circumstances and built something beautiful from broken pieces. Inside, their children slept safely. Their son grew in Zoe's belly. Their future stretched ahead, unknown but hopeful. And Tyler thought about that moment in the restaurant when Harper had burst through the door with a stolen baby and a desperate plea. That moment had changed everything, had unraveled his careful control and opened his eyes to what truly mattered. He owed his daughter a debt he could never repay. She had shown him how to be brave, how to act from the heart instead of the head, how to see people instead of problems. "Thank you," he whispered to the night, to fate, to whatever force had put Zoe in his path that day. Zoe squeezed his hand. "For what?" "For being exactly who you are, for taking a chance on us, for making me believe in second chances. Third chances in my case, fourth maybe." Tyler laughed. "However many chances it takes, I'm here for all of them." "Good, because I'm not going anywhere." "Promise?" "Promise." They stayed on the porch until the stars faded and dawn began to paint the sky. Then they went inside, to their family, to their life, to the beautiful mess they had made together. And it was perfect. The end.